Hi, this is the Democratic Alliance Labour Report. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Please share if you like it. I'm going to today, Thursday the 2nd of February 2023, look at a couple of issues: the compensation fund and the resignation of their director, the failure of the fund, what the Minister of Labour has promised about the UIF investment, the ANC cadre deployment, Home Affairs work permit failure, doctors have to march to get placed, electricity destroys small businesses, highest unemployment in the world, but we're going to spend R1 billion on soccer. So I'm going to go through a whole lot of issues, and I ask you to take note of it and see where we go. Let's watch which way we're going in this country. And as the Democratic Alliance, we need to have a very strict oversight on all of this. So I'm Michael Bagram, the Labour spokesperson on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, and this is Thursday the 2nd of February 2023. Well, the first thing, we in a meeting yesterday of the Labour Portfolio Committee were advised by the Minister of Employment and Labour that the Director, the Commissioner of the Workmen's Compensation, Mr. Mafata, resigned. We were given a nonsense story as to why he resigned, and that the Director General said he was studying, or he was finished his studying, or it all sounds like a lot of poppycock to me, but we'll get to the bottom of it. We need to find out why Mr. Mafata, Commissioner Mafata, resigned from the compensation fund, as we've been complaining for years. I've been complaining personally for the last decade that the compensation fund is dysfunctional. We were hoping about 5 years ago, when Mr. Mafata was appointed, there would be a breath of fresh air, but to no avail. He did try, but he didn't have the political will, and he had no support from an ANC government at all. So this fund is in a shambles, an absolute mess, and now the one man that was trying has resigned. Be interesting to watch this. I will report again on it. The Minister also was tackled on the UIF investment that we spoke about in last week's short video. The UIF, through the Public Investment Corporation, were about to invest hundreds of millions in rands into a company that, quite frankly, didn't really exist. And the Director General of the Department of Employment and Labour, and in fact the UIF Commissioner, both agreed with this investment, but after a hue and a cry, the Minister, embarrassed, had to hold it off. He hasn't said that he's definitely not going to invest in this company, but he has promised that he's going to look into it. So don't hold your breath, but at least it does help to raise the hue and the cry, and I applaud the Democratic Alliance for not only alerting the public to this, but to raising a deep voice condemning this investment. Well, deployment. We still have cadre deployment in the ANC. They've now promised to look at the deployment of the cadres to dysfunctional municipalities. I mean, believe it or not, they don't seem to understand that you can't just place people who need jobs somewhere. You need to place people who are able to do the work. Well, unfortunately, they're now wanting to deploy cadres to dysfunctional municipalities that are almost bankrupt. You can use the last bit of money of those municipalities and, quite frankly, just spend it on cadres who can't do the job. So at the Democratic Alliance, we're watching this. We are going to report on it. We're going to try and put a stop to it. We might even have to go to court again. Our court case still stands against the ANC on this cadre deployment. Home Affairs, well, we know that the work permit situation is getting worse and worse. It seems to be almost collapsed. They're reporting that applications made by our own citizens for travel documents, etc., ID documents, they seem to lose these documents. It's become a nightmare. So you can well imagine what's happening with the work permit applications. We've heard nothing, absolutely nothing. So the ZEP for the Zimbabweans, I don't know the answer. And as the Democratic Alliance, we are watching this carefully, and we're going to follow up on it. Well, this week the doctors had to march because the government has not been able to fill posts that are empty. Medical posts, doctors, nurses, all medical practitioners. They haven't been able to fill the posts. For some reason or other, the administration just doesn't get it right. We can still bring in Cuban doctors. That's not a problem for the ANC, spending money on Cuban doctors, big money. But somehow we haven't been able to place our own. And these internships are a mess. We've got people that are qualified, waiting to do internships. Without the internships, they can't practice. And again, the Democratic Alliance has picked up this and is hitting it hard. We are behind the doctors, and we were certainly behind their march. It's ridiculous. Well, the electricity situation goes from bad to worse. Small businesses say that's now their greatest threat. They're closing, they're emigrating, the retrenchments are at an all-time high. My law firm is just retrenching every day. It's not a good situation, and there doesn't seem to be an end in the electricity crisis. We are the highest unemployment in the world. We have got state-owned enterprises that are all bankrupt. And what do? Well, the ANC's got a wonderful answer to all that. The answer is invest in a British soccer club. Give them R1 billion so that they can wear on their T-shirt the South African flag, and we don't have to bother about the problems back home. People are starving, people are unemployed, people are on the verge of insurrection, I apologize, and of course, at the end of the day, we're going to spend R1 billion on a soccer club. Well, you can imagine what happens after you've spent the R1 billion and people have to go and watch the soccer club play. That'll cost another few hundred million because you've got to keep sending ANC MPs to go and watch the soccer club. I mean, you can't make this nonsense up. Lewis Carroll of Alice in Wonderland fame couldn't make this up. He's probably sitting up there in heaven looking at this and saying, if only I'd thought of such nonsense, it would have been great. Then we've got Eskom has just been pointed out that they spent 67 billion rand in irregular expenditure. So the audit has now got 67 billion rand in irregular expenditure. Well, I mean, can you imagine? This is a bankrupt entity, can't make itself work in any way, but they still squander 67 billion rand. Well, at least it's a lot more than the soccer. But it's interesting to see that the ANC somehow doesn't bother too much about it. But one thing the ANC has done, we've got to give them credit for this, they've now suddenly admitted that all the state-owned enterprises are failing. It's the first time I've heard that. They've admitted that every single SOE, state-owned enterprises, are failing. And it's under their control. They've just admitted it. They haven't come up with a plan as to what they're going to do about it. But at least they've admitted it. It is the first step. Maybe if they start making one or two steps to do something about it, it might also be quite a good idea, but I don't think they're capable. I can't see it. Well, of course, everyone understands what's happened in Johannesburg. We've now got an Al Jamaa mayor who doesn't know whether he's Arthur or Martha. When he was interviewed on his maiden foray into national television, they asked him, what's his plan? What's his priority over the first 100 days, like all mayors are asked this? And in a T-shirt, a rather grubby looking T-shirt with his arms folded, looking quite pugnacious, he said that he's going to concentrate on potholes. He couldn't think of anything else, but he's going to concentrate on potholes. Never mind the fact that we've got the highest unemployment in the world, that Johannesburg is failing both in their electricity and water, that the roadways are all completely collapsed, businesses are on its knees, the city is almost derelict. He's going to concentrate on potholes. Well, I think that's what the ANC is capable of doing. Well, maybe not capable because they're not actually fixing the potholes, but at least they can concentrate on them and have a look at them. That's all they're good for, is having a look at potholes. And of course, we're getting reports from the immigration consultants who are saying that business owners in South Africa are all inquiring about immigration, purely because of the fact that their businesses are dying. Retrenchments at an all-time high, and We need a change in leadership. We need a change in political leadership. We need to look at this very carefully, and hopefully the Democratic Alliance will take you out of this malaise very soon. So thank you for listening to me. It's Michael Bagram, Thursday the 2nd of February 2023. I really appreciate it.